But Warner Brothers is canceling Wonder Woman game, which actually looked pretty good. So now I'm kind of bummed.
I'm actually legitimately bummed about that.
Yeah, so am I.
It closes the Shadow of Mordor studio, which we'll get to in a moment. And yet, for some reason, Rocksteady opens as game division continues to reel from Sweet Baby Inc.
Can I just say, imagine this, okay? Imagine you are at this studio, you're running the studio, you've got a team, you're making this Wonder Woman game. Rocksteady, who is a sister studio, stumbles. And it's not just a stumble, but they fall down the stairs and they hit every ugly stair on the way down. Okay, with the game they came out with, Justice League. You're still working on this, and they tell you, shut it down, you're going home. We're just going to have Rocksteady do this, this, and this. Imagine being them and watching Rocksteady just do a face plant with the release of Suicide or the Squad, and you're punished for it.
So I'm gonna push back, and I actually don't find it that insane that Rocksteady still survived this, because
no, I'm not saying that's insane. All I was saying, Spencer, was imagine being the head of the sister studio that didn't have the flop, and you're told you're fired because reasons.
Well, to that I will say, from the reports we've been seeing over these past couple of weeks, it seems like Monolith kind of was just waiting for them to put the bullet in the back of their head, because this Wonder Woman game was it was announced in 2021, and for the last 4 years, the leadership, the president who's leaving in a couple months, he jerked them around. He was like, oh, we're gonna so they started making Wonder Woman, and it was an original IP. So they wrapped up Middle Earth Shadows of War, which, by the way, those games were awesome. Like, I love those Shadows games.
Nemesis system.
Yeah, which we're never going to get because they have it locked down under copyright for 11 more years, which is absurd. But Monolith was making their own original thing, and Warner Brothers was like, that's cool. All right, cool. Out of nowhere, this president guy comes in and says, yeah, I'm actually going to need you to sort of switch what you're doing, and we'd like you to start making a IP-based game that we can maybe turn into like a live service RPG. And so they went, okay, I guess, like, you're the boss, sure. So they started working on it, and once they started working on it, they started getting no communication from the president, from leadership. So they went, hey, here's all the stuff we're working on. Here's the IP we've chosen. Here's what we're doing. And they would hear nothing for months on end. And when they did hear anything, it was, keep on. This looks good. We'll get back to you. Until about a year ago, when they got called into the office, and the president, I forget, Haddad, he just said, yeah, we don't want to do that anymore. We need, do a Wonder Woman game. That's what we want. We want a Wonder Woman game. So they started working on like this live service Wonder Woman game. And then a year ago, they went, yeah, this isn't like, okay, Haddad was like, yeah, this isn't working. Can you guys just make like a regular action adventure Wonder Woman game? And so what we're looking at is less a symptom of DEI, because in Warner Brothers' case, that DEI stuff is all on the ground, right? It's the Sweet Baby Inc. It's in the writing. It's in the character art. It's in that. What you're looking at here, the Haddad and all the executives, they care about money. So what they did is they said, live service is popping off. Fortnite is great. Let's make everything a live service. So that's why Suicide Squad became a live service. That's why Wonder Woman for a little bit was being developed as a live service. It's greed and incompetence by somebody who, according to everybody who worked under him, like, the guy doesn't know video games. And that's sort of one of the big problems that you two touched on before I jumped on, is that this industry, nobody cares anymore. Nobody really cares about what they're working on. They all just see it as sort of like a job. Not even like, oh, yay, I get to do this, but like, all right, I'm going to put in my time, then I get my money and I'm going to go home. And that's what leads us here. When you have people who don't understand the business or the culture, and they come in and they just say, let's do live service. And everybody else goes, no, we shouldn't. And they still go, I think this is going to be great. You could have had the greatest to take a complete opposite, even if you could have had Doge come in and say, oh, we're all going to write this game, and it still would have been bad, and it still would have failed because it was a bad genre. It was a bad move.
Yeah, but when it comes to this game, and again, I'd only seen the concept art because that's really all that we ever got to see from it.
That's all we ever got, yeah.
Yeah. The concept art looked really good. I liked some of the stuff that we got to see that was previewed a year ago, I want to say, on Twitter and in a couple other places. It was actually sourced through LinkedIn, if I remember correctly. But regardless, this game had a lot of potential. A lot of the early stuff when they introduced it, the introduction teaser was fascinating. And again, you have a winner of a studio in Monolith. So it's like, what is happening? So, according to the article here from Marvin, the decision comes amid ongoing fallout from the Squad Kill the Justice League's catastrophic failure, which I don't think any of us will deny happened.
No.
And the studio is also closing down First Player Games, which is Multiversus. Well, that makes sense.
That one. I'm like, yeah, you guys were gone.
yeah. I mean, and again, the chase for the live service game, games as a service, kind of a Fortnite kind of model. I think you only are going to have X number of competitors, and there won't be any more room for anybody else. So I don't know why they keep throwing their things.
No, you're completely right, Culture, because one of the biggest things that kills a live service's potential is, admittedly, a lot of the live service games that we have seen come out or previewed and then canceled, they didn't look, how do you put this? Like foundationally bad, right? Like the gameplay looked solid. Some of them had decent graphics, maybe some decent concepts, but the problem is players already have probably at least one or two live service games that they're already playing and they're invested in. To ask them to completely abandon that and go to a completely new ecosystem where they have to rebuy, their skins or get back into the flow or whatever, that's an immense ask for anybody. And
it's a huge financial ask.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Even if it's free, just asking somebody, oh, you want to play as, for example, you can be the turtles in Fortnite, but you want to be the turtles in Call of Duty, you got to pay for it again. And it's just like, well, I'm already Donatello over here. I might as well just stay over here.
And that's the problem, right? Is like the limited thought process of developing skins in the first place is part of the problem. But you don't need to ask people to pay for various things in various games all the time. And look, you're in an existing ecosystem. You can only maybe afford, 2 or 3. What is the latest Marvel game that Nettie's just laid a bunch of Seattle studio guys off of?
Marvel Rivals.
Yeah, that thing is probably the last thing. You know what I mean? I can't imagine this ecosystem of live service combat, working out for anybody. And games as a service is a bad idea because then you're irritating your customer base all the time. And nobody wants to be monitored constantly. And I'm telling you what, I mean, PlayStation Network just finally decided this isn't worth it. They just finally decided that. So you're going to see less of that when it comes to games that are outside of that ecosystem already. So outside of PSN, I don't think they're going to keep forcing the PSN thing on you. So just keep that in mind.
Which is like a good move.
But you're always going to have those big companies like Rockstar that are like, oh, we want to absolutely monetize the online portion, and we're going to have this huge online environment, and the single player side suffers. So even if it does have some kind of single player thing, a lot of they want to double dip into both. They want to sell you a single player experience, but they also want to sell you that online experience. And the more you play each, the more you want to play more and spend that more money. They want your money.
And then and then it's the time investment, right? Because if I'm playing, for example, I play Fortnite and I play Marvel Rivals. With the live service thing, I can't just hop on to Marvel Rivals sort of whenever, right? It's unfortunately, I need to log in to do my daily missions. I need to get all of that stuff. So after I do that for Fortnite, then I do it for Rivals. Do I have time to go into, I don't know, Kill the Justice League or Wonder Woman's initial form? Like, not really.
Yeah, I mean,
That's why being a single player gamer it's a quiet life. That's why we say that, you know.
Yeah,
I heard you retired from playing MMOs. It's a quiet life.
It's a quiet life.
It is. It is.
I'll say this though, Loki. I
though.
feel like we went through a really bad drought of single player stuff over the last maybe decade, but I definitely feel like we're slowly getting back to at least offering us single player players something.
Yes. Yeah, where campaigns used to be under 4 hours. Remember that? You'd get a game in the single on 360 and your single player time would be like 3.5 hours. I'm like, that's a tutorial mission, dude.
Yeah, like that. And then it's like, okay, cool. Well, you're right, Loki. It's basically a tutorial for the multiplayer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sick and tired of that. And I don't think everything needs a multiplayer mode. I think certain games can appreciate them or need them, but not very many. And having a game like the Squad Kill the Justice League being a live service title was the stupidest thing possible. And then having the Sweet Baby Ink folk involved with it to the tune of a $200 million loser. Yeah, that's a lot. And here's the thing, according to Marvin's article, and we're going to move on to Bounding here in just a second, but we lost a lot here. This was a big time opportunity. And in the DC universe, this Nemesis system, which actually a couple people have mentioned in the chat, was celebrated for creating unique enemy hierarchies and rivalries. That was expected to breathe life into Diana's world, potentially placing iconic villains like Ares, Cheetah, and Circe into procedurally generated hierarchies. That would be fascinating.
That's, I love that about the Nemesis system. Like, I love you fight one orc and then maybe out like 3 or 4 hours later, you're in a random part of the map, like doing a quest, and all of a sudden, I remember you, and it's like, oh, it's you, and it like, I don't know, that just made the world feel so cool and alive.
They'd even bring him back. So if you like, off with his head, you'd see him and he'd have it like stapled back on, and you're like, how did that happen? You tried to kill me the last time, kid. I'm going to get you this time.
Those are the Middle Earth orcs I want, not we must protect our families.
I'm just trying to raise my child.
Well, regardless,
coming soon.
Between the description of the game and the limited amount of concept art we had access to last year, I feel like we missed out on something spectacular. So why did they do this? Well, I think a really great story on the why of it all came out of this like tiny little group of madmen,
fledgling
and ladies,
blog
and ladies, not fledgling at all, but people who've been doing this for a long time and understand what's going on in the background, and for whatever reason, this fellow named Spencer Baculi, something.
Do you really want to? Okay, I know. My last name is so easily make funnable. You don't even need to do that. And I'll give it to everybody here. So my last name is Baculi, Baculi. In scientific biology research, the technical name for a whale's penis bone is the Baculi. So if you're going to have multiple of those, you have the Baculi.
I didn't need any of that, nor probably did
God help me.
I got you guys a biology lesson. Don't worry.
Jonas may be apoplectic after this. We don't know. But what we do know is that this article is great, Spencer. And it says,
got my number. Hit me up. Kick me off.
Right. In hopes of getting back to profitability, and I think that's the motivation here, Warner Brothers Games shutters Multiversus. That made sense. Okay, on board there. Wonder Woman did not make sense.
Why not just can the Justice League game? Why not just can that?
It is canned. It's done.
But I mean, like, servers offline, you're not taking care of it anymore. Get whatever you can get money back out of that, and they should have never released it.
They should have. They needed that advice like 6 years ago.
Yeah, and that's the problem. It's like,
because like, Loki, you're not wrong, but at this point, I sort of go like, I'm with Coulter. It's like they've already done it all, and like, it's not gonna help.
Just erase it from existence. Oh,
the American version of Tiananmen Square.
they'll be happy. We'll be happy. Everybody will be happy.
Can you imagine, like, you brought this up, Culture, when you were like, they didn't need to make this a live service game. Imagine if Rocksteady, even if Warner Brothers really wanted to push their synergy for this villain team that really hasn't even taken off ever since this push. People really only like Harley. But imagine if all 4 of those main characters were given the same level of care and dedication as Batman was in Arkham, right? So they each had their own kits. They each had their own unique ways of interacting with the environment. That would have been probably a lot of fun. But then because they had to go live service and, we need to make sure everybody's on the same page and nothing gets too weird and people don't break the game, they go, okay, King Shark uses a gun. You know who else uses a gun? Captain Boomerang.
It's so disappointing. it really is, because they could have. And they could have breathed life back into Rocksteady. It could have been great. And it's greed. It's nothing but greed. What you were talking about earlier, Spencer. It's just nothing but greed. They wanted the online cheddar. It's an always online game. It's going to be like Fortnite, but no, it's not.
It's not Fortnite. But speaking of not Fortnite, so the quality of too many of our new releases is really missed the mark. So you ditch something that people want to see for something else.
We could have we did tell you this like 6 years ago again.
Yeah. I mean, look, anyway. So seeking to right their sinking ship following the recent storm of failures, Warner Brothers Games has announced that in order to restore their operations back to profitability, which I believe is basically their drive here, they will officially be pulling the plug on 3 of their subsidiary studios, including Multiversus creator Player First Games, and now canceled Wonder Woman game developer Monolith Productions and their San Diego-based support team. Word of this massive operational shakeup first broke on Bloomberg Jason Schreier's 24th reporting, who learned of the development via his insider sources before being publicly confirmed by Warner Brothers themselves later the same day. Pressed for comment on Schreier's scoop by Kotaku's Ethan Gach, the publisher, or Gach.
No idea. Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know.
I'm just going to say Gach.
It's Gach. The Cleons say Gach.
Gach.
Okay, I'm going to choke. Sounds like I'm dying. The publisher responded with a definitive statement confirming...
Michael Dorn, we need you.
Yeah, we do. We have had to make some very difficult decisions to structure our development studios and investments around building the best games possible with our key franchises. Harry Pothead, Mortal Kombat, DC, and Game of Thrones.
They're not even doing anything with Game of Thrones.
And or DC. What DC? You just canceled Wonder Woman. What DC?
That's a good point. I guess technically DC Online is still running, but I actually don't know if they even know they own that, because I feel like they would have shut it down years ago.
Hey, there's nobody in here. Why are we paying for this server?
They just forgot about it. It's a server run by hamsters in a closet at WB, and they just forgot.
It's the server equivalent of like Milton from Office Space. It just keeps turning on every day and running.
Stapler.
Where's my stapler?
Anyway, you want superhero MMO 2025?
Yes, I do. Further, in light of Middle-earth Shadow of duology developers' closure, Warner Brothers Games further noted that the development of Monolith's Wonder Woman video game will not move forward. They spent 4 years on it.
So bad.
They are 2/3 of the way through the development of the game.
Somebody has spent a significant portion of their career working on this game that never went anywhere,
and nobody will see. There's a bunch of stick frame, elements somewhere where they were working out combat and everything.
Oh, there's going to be so many cool pieces of art, so many cool ideas that are just going to... I genuinely wonder, because I don't even know this, maybe Loki does, but do they hold... I kind of imagine they might hold on to everything, but considering how big file sizes are getting, like we were just talking about, maybe they bin it. I have no idea anymore.
If they take insurance out on it, if they get any insurance money from it, they bin it. They have to. They just chuck it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because that's what they did with Batgirl. That's right. That's right.
I can't look. This story doesn't get better. It's just I think your perspective on it is the thing I wanted to focus on, Spencer, because you know it comes down to money. They don't have any. They've invested in DEI far too heavily. Some of the tweets from Madam Savvy that Kaliki Okedi pointed out are spot on as far as this game development goes.
And Rocksteady wants to remake the Arkham games. Good luck.
No, we don't trust you. Your founders left for a reason. Rocksteady's founders left for a reason. It's the same thing that happened over at Rockstar. It's
the same thing that's happened with probably about 98 of all companies, not even just Western. Like when we get a new Devil May Cry, Team Devil is going to have a completely new makeup from 5 because all those guys left. Just like when they went, remember Metal Gear Solid Survive after Kojima left, and they were still like Team Metal Gear or Team Fox or whatever. Yeah, we're still here, we're doing it, and it was a disaster. At this point, it sucks, but we're at that period of like we have to really look at the individuals, which I know we're all doing on our channels, on That Park Place, on Bounding, right? This writer is joining this team, that over there, because the names of companies no longer hold any weight, except maybe like Nintendo, because it's Nintendo.
It's Nintendo.
Square Enix is succumbed to a lot of baloney sausage.
That's what I mean. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm trying to go through the list of like developers that haven't been.
Well, they had to go after the Japanese gaming companies. They had to. They didn't have a choice. That would have been their immediate main competition. Oh, well, if Japan's not in with us, then they'll just keep coming out with, beach volleyball and Final Fantasy and all this stuff that'll have beautiful women in it. And well, they had to get the Japanese on board. And how did they do that? Well, you can't release your game in the US unless you have, body type A and B. That's crazy.
No, and that's the thing. The pushback is, and it's probably US AID money that was making that happen, Loki. We have to just get into where these things are originating from and gut them. And just get them for whatever they're doing incorrectly or violating the law with, in order to, because I mean those people, they have no scruples. They'll violate the law left, right, and center to try to destroy us from within. I blame Spencer. So
I do too.